Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Tuesday. It is a trade deadline Tuesday. The Royals wheeling and dealing. We've got another 4 hours before the trade deadline comes and goes. So what will happen today over the next 4 hours on One Royal Way? We got lots to discuss today. We'll talk plenty of Chiefs. They were off this morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Andy Reid will meet with the media, select players as well. Oh, the Pac-12! The Pac-12 might not exist here in a few days. We'll have to wait and see what goes on. Arizona with a special Board of Regents meeting. So we will get to that coming up today as well. We got odds makers. We got lists. Matt Derrick will join us coming up at the bottom of this hour. Dan Lucero will peek in and join us in the 1 o'clock hour on this August 1st edition of Mic'd Up. Jacob on Fulton Caster with you. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. So simple, so easy. You can also check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Search Sports on 580. Easy to get to. And let us know your comments in our YouTube stream. Trade deadline is here in 4 hours.
5.
So it's 5 o'clock Central?
It is 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern is what I understand.
Okay. So we got 5 hours.
Which means we'll see as we get closer. Baseball pundits will tweet out how close we are to the deadline. So if we're wrong, very quickly we'll figure that out. But 4 to 5 hours until the deadline.
And the Royals, of course, made a trade over the weekend, sending Nicky Lopez to the Braves for Taylor Hearn. But they've made a trade last night, and the trade last night, I was waiting for the pitchforks to come around, but that's not the case. Who had Jose Cuas being traded by the Royals here at the deadline?
Yeah, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, if you got your hand raised, you're a liar. So the Kansas City Royals trading Jose Cuas to the Chicago Cubs for a power hitter named Nelson Velasquez. He is a right now a guy who can hit it a ton and it goes far. This guy's got some serious pop. Right now, you could say he's more of a quadruple A player. He has played a little bit at the big leagues, not a ton, but he does have power. He can play all 3 spots, but all 3 spots are not great. No one's going to confuse him with Kyle Isbell, but they're not going to confuse him with MJ Melendez either, or
more importantly, Edward
Olivares. And the Royals get rid of Jose Cuas. Now, he is already on the 40-man roster. He's going to go down to AAA. And this, to me, is a big win. This is a big win.
One might say, Jake,
that's a fair trade.
I don't even think it's a fair trade. I think this is a win for the Royals.
No, it is 100% because after everyone wanted to string J.J. Picollo from the highest tree in the land for the Nicky Lopez trade.
Over Nicky Lopez.
He immediately followed it up with the exact kind of trade the Royals should be making. Jose Cuas is 29, has a couple more years of control left on him, but was never going to be a lot. Like he is a certified mid reliever. Fine, but not great, and will never be that great. Nelson Velasquez is 24. He has multiple years of control left, a lot of power in the bat, has some swing and miss, which is a little concerning, does not walk a ton, will never be a walking guy, and his defense is not excellent, but also not terrible. J.J. Picollo, when speaking to some of his comments, said views him as a corner outfielder. The biggest way I can sum this up is Nelson Velasquez is younger, more powerful Edward Olivares with slightly better defense and a ton more potential. The exact kind of guy the Royals should be trying to get. Because either you have now found a potential corner outfielder for the future, which you need. You need someone for left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Or you flip him a year or two down the line for another guy. Like, this is a perfect trade of what the Royals should be trying to do.
He is more powerful Edward Olivares. Okay, sign me up. Now, the Royals, if you can find anyone to take Edward Olivares, you should do it.
I would say so
immediately.
And the Royals are happy to have outfield depth. They want depth at different parts to supplement the core, is what they've always said. But no, I was already a person who said trade Ollie before you added a corner outfielder, because I feel a contending team could use his bat in the bottom of their lineup because it is a good bat, especially if they can afford to DH him mainly. Now you even have more reasons to do it because you can slide in other guys.
This to me is a signing that also shows that the Royals are not full bore into Waters and Isbell. This is some Waters and Isbell protection as well, because in right now he's kind of a quadruple A player, Nelson Velasquez, but in 13 games he does have 3 home runs and 2 doubles.
Yeah, he has 7 hits this season.
It's a long time.
5 of them are extra bases.
And you're hoping that the Royals hitting guys can help do their thing, because they have improved some of the guys at the plate over the last couple of years. So this makes clear sense. And it's almost to the point now where if I am the Royals, once today is over with, if Edward Olivares is on this team, then I wouldn't be opposed to just DFAing Edward Olivares, because you ready for this? You could even argue tonight, but probably not tonight, because trying to get Nelson Velasquez here might be a little bit difficult. Yeah. He's already going to be in Omaha. Mm-hmm. But let's say August 14th. Okay. Mm-hmm. That is a Monday, right? Yep. He needs to be getting big league at bats. He needs to be batting in left field or right field and getting big league at bats instead of Edward Olivares, because Edward Olivares is not part of the future. Yeah. Nelson Velasquez is.
Could be.
So get him at bat.
I will say this. JJ Piccolo has already kind of spoken to that. They're going to start him in Omaha. He wants to get him up this year. JJ has said he wants to get him at bats this season. They just want to see what he looks like at Omaha first and just get eyes on him, which is the objective right move.
Yes.
If you are acquiring a guy with very little major league experience, put him in the minor leagues first to see what he looks like. Because maybe Nelson Velasquez does a week at Omaha and they see, there's a major flaw in the swing we don't want to expose to the big leagues yet. Well, then they will spend him longer at AAA because they're like, all right, we got something to work on. Or maybe he spends a week and a half at AAA and they go, man, that's ready to go. And they bring him up then. So there is very good reason to start him down there at AAA Omaha. He's already going to be on the 40-man roster. He's going to take Quas's 40-man roster spot. This is a smart, long-term decision. A thing that Royals fans try to convince me JJ Piccolo doesn't know how to do.
People getting upset because it's if they traded MJ Melendez for that.
Then get angry.
Get upset.
As I said yesterday.
It's Nicky Lopez, man.
Yeah.
Who's had one decent year.
One fluky year.
In 4. Yeah. And
the other 3 years have been absolute garbage.
And they're going to save money. They're going to save money, too, by not having to pay him. And today, they made a trade. And maybe they're like, hey, would you rather have Tucker Davidson for 5 years or Nicky Lopez making $3 to $4 million for the next 2? Nicky Lopez is not part of the future, okay? He's not. He's older. Michael Massey is. Samad Taylor is. Maikel Garcia is.
You got a lot of other options to play your infield. And as I've said multiple times, infield depth is a strength. And as you alluded to, the second trade the Royals have made is Tucker Davidson, a left-handed reliever, has been acquired from the Angels for cash considerations. We don't know the actual cash amount, but it's usually like a couple $100,000.
So it says here, Davidson made his debut with Atlanta in 2020. He was on the Braves World Series winning team.
Correct.
He started Game 5 of the World Series, and he was on the Angels opening day roster this year. Does have 2 saves, 31 strikeouts, and 31 innings. This is a guy who is 27 years old.
24.
It says here he's 27. Davidson, 27.
Did I misread a man's age?
I'm just telling you right now.
I misread a man's age. I apologize.
So Davidson
he debuted when he was 24. I apologize.
27 years old, and this is a guy who has good strikeout numbers, almost 1 strikeout per
K per
inning.
9 is good.
That is well. And you've got him for a small amount of money to put in your rotation for the rest of this year and for next year. I see nothing wrong with this. What's going on? So, I just want the Royals now. I want the Royals to trade Edward Olivares. I want them to trade Scott Barlow, and I want them to trade Ryan Yarbrough. I think the 2 biggest ones are Yarbrough and Barlow. Those 2 need to be traded because right now, it is a seller's market. If you look at Jose Cuas, ladies and gentlemen, Jose Cuas got you back a guy who is going to be under club control for 5 years and has legitimate 20 to 25 home run power for Jose Cuas.
Well, and beyond this being a seller's market, because there's a lot more buyers than sellers, it is a pitching market.
Yes.
Because the pitching is scarce. So we'll see. I'm with you. Barlow and Yarbrough are the 2 more guys. I feel like the Royals got to move today. Everybody else is if they, like Edward Olivares. I'd like it if they moved him. If they don't, I'm not going to lose my mind. You can move him this winter, and it'd be a perfectly fine thing too. You need to move Barlow and Yarbrough because their contracts expire at the end of this season. A guy like Olivares, even a guy like Brady Singer, who we've now learned is getting calls. Like, teams are calling about Brady Singer. The Dodgers have called about Brady Singer. Now, J.J. Picollo intelligently has basically made the price high, which is what you should do. Brady Singer is young with multiple years of control, and this is a scarce starting pitching market. Intelligently, J.J.'s saying, if you want him, you're going to pay. And if somebody does, trade him. If somebody offers you a King's ransom or Brady Singer, Brady, it was a good time. Have fun somewhere else. But if they don't, keep him. Don't trade him. Because what I've seen recently is maybe he is something. I don't know.
You gotta have the thing about Brady Singer right now is that, one, if they had, let's say, 2 guys on this pitching staff better than Brady Singer, then I would say, go ahead and trade
maybe
him.
the price would even be lower.
Go ahead and trade him. The problem, though, still is
you ain't got no solid starting pitching.
You have nobody else, and the fact that he's still under team control for 3 more years
is important.
Because the hope is that you get incrementally better next year, and then hopefully in 2025,
either you're competing and Brady's a part of it, or if you think you're still getting closer, but Brady's been competing more, you could probably still sell him for a decent price.
Exactly. So
there's no need. There's no need to force a trade with him specifically, or with a lot of the Royals young guys this year. I think they'll do some more stuff. Tucker Davidson, I like because a lot of people are focusing on the fact that his ERA is over 6 this year. His FIP is 3.37, which I've always said, when there's a big gap, that usually means either some bad luck or some other things. I think Tucker Davidson's a guy that can benefit from a better defense behind him than what the Angels can provide. That's the Royals. He's got, some average stuff, a very nice breaking ball, which is cool. But he is a flyer you take that, let's say the Royals can fix. We'll use the word fix here, Tucker Davidson. You could flip him for the Jose Cuas return next year. You could spend just cash and get you another young bat probably next year for Tucker Davidson. Okay. That is honestly what you were trying to do, which again is what the Royals should be doing.
So here is my theory with Brady Singer. Okay, you mentioned that the Dodgers were interested in Brady Singer.
They want starting pitching bad.
So let's say the Dodgers are like, hey, we'll give you Gavin Stone for Brady Singer. Gavin Stone is their 4th best the Royals need pitching, okay?
Yes, they do.
They need pitching. He is their best pitching prospect. He's at AAA right now. Gavin Stone. Don't know hardly anything about him. I just know this. The Dodgers farm system is very good. It's always very good.
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to worry about that. But if they'd offer you Gavin Stone for Brady Singer, I would do that trade because the Royals are not going to get it done in 2024. I'm sorry. They're not going to go from 50 wins to 88 wins in 2024. Okay. It's not going to happen. All right. That sucks, but that's reality. So bring in Gavin Stone, and you hope then that Gavin Stone, you'll have him for 6 years under team control, and then Gavin Stone gets into the rotation next year, and then you hope then he can get better in 2025. It sucks. I get it. Everybody is just not happy at all that the Royals aren't trying to win now. The thing is, you have to look towards the future.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals,
this is a long-term situation.
The Royals right now are down bad for a lot of different reasons. It's not going to get an instant fix. This is, the old adage of, hey, yeah, we can pay so-and-so a whole bunch of money, but then no one else is going to be any good. So why are you paying that guy a little bit of money? You know, like the Reds had been terrible forever. Then they paid Joey Votto. Congratulations. Joey Votto got paid and you kept Joey Votto, but for 8 years, you were just terrible for 8 straight years.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, and figuring out what you need. Rebuilding's hard.
Would you give up Brady Singer for Gavin Stone? I don't know who Gavin Stone is.
Straight up, no.
You need more than Gavin Stone.
I need more.
Okay.
Partly because, like, in a real flat neutral market, I probably would. Gavin Stone's pitched 4 games in the big leagues this year, 3 of them being starts. His ERA is over 12. He's had a real bad run this year at the bigs. He strolled in AAA this year as well. But he still has a chance to be a really good. He really could be a solid mid-rotation pitcher, which is where I think Brady Singer's real point is, mid to back end. But but in this market, I asked for more. But overall, like that, I will say, like if I'm talking to the let's say in the point though, if I'm talking to the Dodgers, they need to give me one of these 3, and then we can discuss everything else. Either Gavin Stone, Andy Pages, or Ryan Pepio.
Ooh, I like Pepio.
You need to give me one of those 3.
Ryan Pepio.
Stone and Pepio are 2 good pitching prospects. Ryan Pepio has actually pitched in the big leagues this season for 7 starts as a 3.47 ERA.
I like Pepio.
Ryan Pepio is good. And then Andy Pages has yet to make his big league debut, but is a very good, solid outfield bat in the Dodgers minor league system. Those 3 guys are my conversation start, and then we can maybe build those. And to a level that does sound like you're like, man, you're kind of asking for a big price for Brady Singer. I'm doing that at this deadline because that's the market. Mm-hmm. I'm making someone overpay.
Pepio.
I would gladly. Ryan Pepio is probably my favorite because he's had big league success, but Gavin Stone's changeup is a beauty.
Pepio.
His fastball needs work, but Gavin Stone's changeup is, oh, mama, it's good.
So there's a lot that could happen over the next 5 hours here for the trade deadline. Coming up next, I don't know if it's the reason why, but maybe it's the schedule, maybe the new rules, but I will let you know baseball did something right. We'll get to that next. is seeing an uptick in attendance. That's right. Major League Baseball attendance is up 9.2% from this time last year, which would represent the greatest year to gain in average attendance since the last expansion in 1998. Last week's average attendance of 34,432 was the best weekly average of any week since 2012.
Love to see it.
Now, what are some of the reasons why? Okay, one, summer is about ready to end.
Mm-hmm.
School's going to start up here in 2 weeks. Maybe this is the last hurrah before the school year starts. And summer coming to a close. Is it because of, to me, two things on the field? Okay, that's off the field. That has nothing to do with baseball. It's just, hey, let's go to the ballpark.
Yeah, it's just timing, essentially. Summer
is winding down. I would have to need to see more. Does this happen a lot every year?
Yeah.
When it comes to that. Now, this is
it's the bigger overall increase, but we always see an increase in the summer
from this
days.
time. It says last week's average was 34K, best since 2012, but it is up 9.2% this year. Okay, there are two big on the field reasons. One, is it the new rules? Is it the faster games? Is it the 2.5-hour games instead of the 3-hour and 10-minute games?
Yeah,
that is a 40-minute difference that we are seeing. If you look at the Kansas City Royals right now and their schedule, here are the game times that the Royals have played we'll go with the last 10 games, okay? These are the times, all right? 225, 317, that was the 10-inning walk-off game. 159, 219, 247, 233, 222, and 207, 212. Okay.
That's been nice.
So they're average about 230 a game, right? Is it because of the, more action, all of that kind of stuff? So, or is it the schedule?
Could be.
Is it the schedule? Because
different teams in
different teams. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Matt Derrick. Heading to Kansas City to talk all things Chiefs is our Chiefs insider. He is Matt Derrick. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, you are not in St. Joe. You are in Kansas City because they had the off day today. So what did you do this morning instead of go up to St. Joe?
I did sleep in for a little bit, so that was nice. That's something that doesn't happen during training camp very often. So that's been the most enjoyable part of my day so far.
Alrighty, training camp, 8 days in. Give me your top 3 takeaways from what you've seen at training camp.
What I think one has to be just that Patrick Mahomes looks like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, there's absolutely no concern there. I actually feel like you feel like the receivers are in pretty good shape, but I mean, the number one takeaway is Patrick Mahomes is already in midseason form, so just book that down. Two, I think that the biggest thing, at least so far in getting the pads and everything, is that this offensive line is going to be just fine. The 2 new tackles look great. I mean, we'll see what happens once, the competition gets real and everything. But right now, that first offensive line unit looks really, really good. And 3, I think, we know. I mean, the secondary and this team is going to be pretty good on the defensive side. I really like it. I think that all the pieces are coming together. Problem's going to be up front. So there's still questions. This pass defense, if Chris Jones gets in, once he gets back to Kansas City and gets on this team, I think this pass defense is going to be pretty good.
Good news that Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. That's always nice. You're always going to have a puncher's chance there. The O-line being good is what we expect. I think the question now becomes, can they be elite? Can they be top 3 and really be able to do both O-line pass blocking and run blocking? That's the next step. And then you brought up Chris Jones. He has now accrued $450,000 in fines. They are clearly willing to spend money in fines to try to make money in overall money over the course of this deal. Because of this, I still think a deal will end up getting done, because if you're Chris Jones and Chris Jones' agent, you don't hold out not getting a deal. If they didn't think a deal would get done, he'd be in camp right now, and they would just go into next year with he'll be a free agent for next year, or the Chiefs will trade him before free agency begins. So are we still thinking a deal gets done at this point in time?
I mean, I think you have to, because there's no other choice. I mean, these two sides are stuck with each other. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about, what other possible scenarios could happen. I mean, Chris Jones wants to be traded. Okay, well, nobody has any money. If Chris Jones wants money and that's all he cares about, well, okay, trade him to the Houston Texans. That's the only place you can get any money right now. But I don't think that's what Chris Jones wants. I don't, at this point, I still don't get this. I really don't. I mean, if the fight is really over a couple of $1 million over 2 years or 3 years, or it's about significant guaranteed money, I mean, I guess I can see that. But on the other hand, especially, we're 12 days away from this being a bigger deal, because, for Chris Jones, if he misses the preseason game, that's a game check that he's losing. So that's now, with all the fines, would take him up over $2 million. That's real money. I mean, that would be an entire year possibly of what these two teams are apart right now. So at some point, Chris is going to either just have to take what's there. Chiefs are going to have to move a little bit. I don't get the sense that the Chiefs are going to move. I mean, we really don't know what numbers these two sides are at, but I can't imagine that they're terribly far apart. And I just don't know what the argument is at this point.
If he misses the first preseason game, the 13th, does that mean you think he's got to be in camp on the 11th or the 12th, or he just has to report before the 13th, correct?
Just has to report. So, yeah, I mean, if he reported on the 13th, I mean, he could show up in St. Joe. Team won't be there, but he could show up and say, I'm here. and check into the dorm, I mean, yeah, that would satisfy, reporting the how the CPA is expressed on the signs and everything like that, and reporting for training camp is pretty vague. But yeah, essentially, if he shows up on the 13th before the game time, is reported to camp, he would have been reported before that game. So he wouldn't assess the fine, but he'd finally be there.
This has gotten a little bit more ugly than I initially thought it would. And it's either, and this is what I want to know. And we still don't quite know. Like, are the Chiefs really offering just 24 million and they're not moving off of 24 million? If that's the case, then the Chiefs are being cheap and the Chiefs need to, pull their head out of their, what. If Chris Jones is asking for $31 million, Chris Jones, you're not getting $31 million. No one is going to pay you $31 million. You need to change your situation. That's the thing that's so frustrating about this, is that I want someone that I can say, you're not doing this in good faith.
Yeah, that to me is, I mean, that's the real question. I mean, it's just how far apart are these sides? I mean, if that's the picture and they truly are $7 million apart, I mean, both sides are being unreasonable. I mean, they do need to meet somewhere in the middle. Then it gets down to, well, where is the middle? I mean, is 27.5 going to be enough to make everybody happy? I mean, I don't think anybody would, frankly, probably be happy with 27.5. I mean, but that's probably where a deal is going to have to be made. And I wonder too. I mean, this is, I don't like to do this very often, Jake, but I'm gonna step into it anyway. Especially because Patrick Mahomes said a little bit, in an interview with Albert Breer about how his contract and everything. And I do wonder, how it's going to impact a guy like Mahomes and Kelsey, because if I'm them, I think I'm calling up Chris and saying, look, we left money on the table for you. Take it. Get here. We need you here. And if those calls aren't being made yet, I think there's a pretty good chance they get made pretty soon. Because if I was one of those guys, that's the call I would be making right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get to what Patrick Mahomes said to Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated coming up in the 1:00 hour, and I think everything that Mahomes does to me is calculated. He's that type of guy, and when he says something, that's not just off the cuff, especially when it comes to other people and money, because that's the one thing that these guys care more about than winning. And that is what goes in their bank account, because this is their job. This is their livelihood. And they got a chance to do something to set their family up for quite some time. So Chris Jones not there. Anybody under the radar right now that maybe hasn't got a roster spot and will get a roster spot? How do you view some of that action right now?
Yeah, I think probably some of the names that are in that kind of mix, some of them are known. I mean, I think everybody's heard about Derrick at this point, and that I think he would have to really have some struggles in the preseason games to not make the team. I tell you what, with Jody Fortson banged up again, Matt Bushman and Blake Bell are both serious candidates to make this team. I mean, I had Blake Bell on all along as the veteran, but Matt Bushman's had a pretty terrific camp so far. This even goes back to OTAs. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He just does everything right, and he catches everything. I mean, you do those two things for Andy Reid, you can stick around for a while as a tight end. So I'm really impressed there. The Najee Johnson going down was so disappointing, because that dude had been having a terrific offseason in camp. Spagnuolo talked about it yesterday, that he was getting those first team reps, not by default, but because he earned it. He was playing better than Josh Williams and Jalen Watson. He earned that time, and now he's down.
Mm-hmm.
It actually makes the Chiefs probably a couple of decisions so much easier, because now it is pretty easy to fill that group with 5 corners and 5 safeties, and you're not worried about anybody being on the outside looking in. Now you don't have to worry about a Nick Jones or a Tamari Connor and about whether or not you can carry him or not. You're good there. Wide receiver is still going to be the big question. And right now, I mean, everybody that needs to is having a good camp. So preseason games are going to be a big moment, especially for some guys that we haven't seen. Like, let's get Richie James. I think he'll be fine because he's pro. but we haven't seen Justin Ross in a game, and you haven't seen him getting hit. That's the next big test for him. He has cleared all the others, but that's going to be a big one.
When it comes to Kadarius Toney, I want them to put him on IR. I want them to, not right now, I don't. I want them, when week 1 starts, I want them to put him on IR. The Chiefs don't need Kadarius Toney for the first 4 games. Like, look at the Chiefs' schedule for their first 4 games. Do the Chiefs need Kadarius Toney for the game against the Lions? No, they don't. They don't need him. Do they need Kadarius Toney for the game against the I want to make sure I got this right. Jacksonville? No, they don't. What about Chicago? Absolutely not. New York, that's one where I go, yeah, you might need him. But the first 3 games, I want Kadarius Toney healthy for games 16, 17 playoffs. I want to make sure they need to treat Kadarius Toney as if he isn't going to make it all 20 games. The odds of him making it all 20 games are not high. So you need Kadarius Toney for the important games. Is that a silly way of treating Kadarius Toney and the schedule how it looks like, or because I'd rather have Kadarius Toney for Minnesota, Denver, and LA than for Detroit, Jacksonville, and Chicago?
I think it's a very logical argument. I mean, I completely get it. I don't know if the Chiefs are in that mindset, because I think that their philosophy is that they think they got a pretty good chance to get close to 17 games out of him, and they would prefer that if it came down to getting 11 and 13 games out of him, I think they would still want to say, let's try and squeeze as many as we can. Let's try and get 13. Let's get 14. I think that's where they're at. It would probably make their life simple if his rehab didn't go as well. Because I mean, it would have to go almost perfect for him to be ready for week 1.
Exactly.
And so, if that's the case, then that's why I think your argument makes a lot of logic. I mean, if that's the case, then slow it down, do things right. Just tell Kadarius, look, we're going to bring you back week 5, week 6. That's when you'll get back out there. Slow it down, do things right. Don't try and rush it, because we've seen what happens when you rush it. You rush it, and what happens? He's going to miss 3 weeks in the middle of the season, and then be dinged up again in December and never be 100%. I think that's probably what you're dealing with, because he's a Maserati. We know. I mean, Maserati's spend time in the shop, and I think you just got to do whatever you can to try and keep him out of there.
I want Kadarius Toney for week 5, the Dolphins game, then Philly, then Buffalo. Like, that middle stretch is when I need Kadarius Toney. That's what's most important. I think Justin Ross is going to make this team simply because the fact that they've got him under team control for 2 more years after this year. And you want cheap talent. And if this guy can stay healthy, I think he can make this roster. But if you had to tell me, would you rather have Justin Ross make this team or Blake Bell? I'd rather have Justin Ross right now because of what he can bring to the future. Do you think that is kind of how they'll view Justin Ross, maybe over a 4th tight end on this roster, starting with the opening 53?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I haven't had anybody really give me any insight yet as far as how the Chiefs are feeling on that. Possibility of maybe carrying a 7th receiver, because I think that's something that, barring any injuries, they've got to seriously consider. And that would probably impact, certainly a tight end as well, because you're probably talking about just a limited number of roster spots for that running back, tight end, and wide receiver spot. And if you're going to keep 4 running backs, which I think right now they're on course to do, 4 tight ends, which they're on course to do, and even 6 wide receivers, I mean, that's a lot of numbers at that spot. And I think they've got 7 that they have to keep. I mean, I'm not sure that if any of those guys hit waivers, that they'd come back to them. So now you can do some tricky things. I mean, there's, Rich James is a veteran. I mean, you can make a wink and a nod kind of deal and everything, but I don't know if that's really in their interest either. So I think it's going to be a tough call, but I'm with you. Even though I still have questions about Justin Ross, and I think he still has a lot to prove, he has shown that there's enormous talent there. And if you can tap into that talent, he can be special.
We're talking with Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. Does a terrific job covering the Chiefs. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. When it comes to the secondary, I've seen a lot of tweets from yourself and other Chiefs folks that Noah Gray looks good and Sky Moore has been looking good. MVS is going down the field. He looks good. Does that mean the secondary stinks? What's going on with the secondary?
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to poke around a little bit that because it's been a kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, the defense has had its moments for sure. There's no doubt, but at times the offense just looks unstoppable. And then you get the question. I mean, is it just the offense this good, or is the defense that much of a problem? I mean, one obviously is that hey, you're not hitting the quarterbacks or anything this time of year, so that's certainly going to help the offense. But I will say, I mean, and that's my concern with the defense is that you miss Chris Jones. I mean, you're even missing Chris Jones in training camp. I mean, if there's no push in the middle, it doesn't really matter how good anybody else is. It doesn't matter how good the guys on the edge are. It doesn't matter how good the corners are. If you're not getting any push inside, everything falls apart. And they're not getting any push inside without Chris Jones. So, hey, Daniel Wise, Matt Dickerson, anybody else that Steve Spagnuolo's got a crush on, great, but none of them are Chris Jones. So to me, so much of what this defense is going to be, we can't really tell until they get Chris Jones out there and you see how they look. I think they'll be fine once he is. The rookie corners from last year, they need to prove themselves. And that's why, the fact that Najee Johnson was performing so well, I think it's a blow because he was playing great. And if he's the one that made the leap, and, let's say that Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams wasn't making as big of a leap as Najee, well, that could hurt you. So I think you really need those two guys to come along as well. But I've been really impressed with Jerry. I think McDuffie has looked fine. The injuries are limiting them a little bit too, which makes it a little bit tighter. But when I think, once again, I think they'll be okay, but they need Chris Jones out there.
All righty, last two questions, too, for the road. When will you start getting concerned if Chris Jones doesn't show up?
If Chris doesn't show up by the preseason game on the 13th, I got serious questions about what's going on. Because at that point, he'll be out more than $2 million in fines. That's real money. Now you're getting close enough to the season that you got serious questions. So if he's not there by the 13th, I mean, I would already be a little worried. I mean, this was already my worried point. August 1st was when my concern level would go up. But we'll go from orange to red if he is not there by the 13th.
All righty. My last question, put your prognostication hat on. In 2030, 7 years from now, this is right. I'm asking you a 7-year in the future question. Yeah.
I love it.
Where are the Chiefs playing their games at?
Well, good question, because, gosh, I mean, I think most likely they are playing in Arrowhead Stadium, and it'll still be the last year of GEHA Field, I guess. So, maybe they'll get the option for the future, but I think they'll be there because, 2030 will be the last season. If they build new, that would probably be ready for the 2031 season. But I think, all things being equal, I think they'll probably upgrade and refurbish Arrowhead. So we'll go with Arrowhead as being the most likely option.
What if I gave you they'll be in Arrowhead at 2030, but then they'll be in a new building in 2031? Would you take that option?
I think it's the second most likely option, but I think there may. We'll see how the Royals whole thing plans out on this. I have, this is just my conspiracy theory hat from just some of the things that the Chiefs have said. I think they really, really would prefer to disassociate from the Royals completely. And if that means refurbishing and staying in Arrowhead 20 more years so that then they can build their own stadium in the future down the road, and not to have anything connected with the Royals through a tax or anything like that, I think that's what they would prefer to do.
Matt, what I would prefer to do is talk to you every single week about the Chiefs. That's what I prefer to do. And the lucky thing about that is I get to. Matt, we appreciate the time as always, my friend. You're back up in St. Joe tomorrow. And tell Andy Reid that we say hi.
Sounds like a plan, Jake. Take care, everybody.
Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. He's the best. Love Matt. August 13th.
If he's not there by August 13th, oh boy.
That's real money, because then that's $2 million.
Yeah, that's real money. That's not just fines, that's game check.
Yeah, that's dollar bills.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Coming up, we're going to talk about what Patrick Mahomes said to Albert Breer, plus the quarterback tier numbers. All of that here on Mic'd Up. hyped up on this trade deadline Tuesday. Jacob on Fulton Caster with you. We do have Royals baseball tonight. We'll talk a little bit more Royals coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. One trade today, cash considerations for a reliever from the Angels named Tucker Davidson. Very 2020's name, Tucker Davidson.
Yeah, and fun fact, that is him going by his middle name.
His first name is Michael.
I don't believe so.
Michael Tucker Davidson. Former Royal great Michael Tucker. Wouldn't that be hilarious if it was Michael?
It would. It is Joseph.
Joseph
Tucker Davidson.
We call him Joe T. Dave.
He should go by JT Davidson.
So made one trade. Still got a few more hours to go before the trade deadline. We'll get the latest news on the trade deadline when it comes out. Did see this from Mark Feinsand. The Royals, who have already traded Aroldis Chapman, Jose Cuas, and Nicky Lopez, are talking to teams about right-handed pitcher Scott Barlow, left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough, right-handed pitcher Taylor Clark. Why is there an E on the end of Taylor Clark's name?
That's just how it's spelled.
Taylor Clarkey, and outfielder Edward Olivares. So the Royals were like young Jake when he was trading baseball cards, just willing to make deals.
And that's the way they should be. The Royals, for years, Dayton Moore said, we're going to be more transactional. And that just meant making one deal at the deadline every year. It seems like Jacob Cole understands the concept of you got to make multiple deals. Guess what you're doing? And those are 4 dudes who need to go. 3 of them are off this team as of next year because their contracts expire, and I doubt they get re-signed. And then 1 is an outfielder who just doesn't fit your long-term plan. You have other outfielders you can play.
You trade them for cash. Here, take these guys. Just give us cash. I'd prefer players, but
I would too. But, we'll see.
Patrick Mahomes said something very interesting to one Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated. And Matt Derrick kind of said something. So, planning on talking about this. So, in his conversation with Albert Breer, the contract came up. When he spoke with Patrick Mahomes at camp, Justin Herbert's 5-year, $262 million extension was just about finished. Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson's already got done. And so he asked Patrick Mahomes about his contract. And this is what Patrick Mahomes said. I've looked at Tom's model and how he did it, Mahomes says. That's it. You want to make money for yourself and for your family. You want to keep pushing the market forward for other quarterbacks. You don't want to be someone that they use against other players. But at the same time, I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I want Travis Kelce to always be making money. I want everybody on the team here. I have a great offensive line. It's everything around me. It's all about having open conversation with Brett Veach, Coach Reed, Clark Hunt, just knowing where that happy medium is. That will be out there throughout my entire career. To me, it's not always about being the highest paid. It's about making enough money for me and my family and keep moving the game forward for everybody. That's telling right now because of the part where it said, I want these other guys to get paid. I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. That is not normal. In the get me everything that I deserve and I want era of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is different. We talk about, what's the most important thing to Patrick Mahomes. It might be just Tom Brady, because everything Tom Brady has done, that is kind of what Patrick Mahomes has looked at. Tom was never the highest paid guy, but he won. And I think Mahomes looks at this and has the same situation. I'd be fascinated to see if Patrick Mahomes has made more endorsement money through the first 5 years of his career than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And I would think he has.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because Brady didn't start, becoming, Brady until after the Super Bowls, which was his first, 4 or 5 years. But Mahomes was already starting to get that, Coors Light, State Farm, Oakley, Adidas.
He was getting those endorsements early.
Money type of deal. And I think Patrick Mahomes is of the adage where we talked about this, right? We mentioned this about DeAndre Hopkins. You've already made, $80 million. You're going to get paid again. Is there a difference from $100 million to $90 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $10 million. Right?
Yeah.
But $10 million, depending upon what you've already made, matters.
Yeah, that's true.
$1 million to $11 million. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's big.
$80 million to $90 million. Not as big.
May not be as impactful to some guys,
but it's still big. But then you get to Mahomes.
Yeah.
$400 million to $430 million or $420 million.
Yeah.
Where that extra $20 million, that can be $5 million a year less.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's $400 million to $420 million, right? And Mahomes says, I'll just do $400 million, take that other $20 million and give it to other players. That's an extra $5 million a year. Do you know what you can get for $5 million a year?
A lot of things.
A lot of things in the NFL. And that's a bona fide player. Because Mahomes looks at, okay, $400 million to this, and that's why he is not the norm in this situation. But I bring this up is it says it's not always about being the highest paid. He's getting paid. He's making $400 million, and that's going to be $400 million 100% guaranteed. Plus, he's made a boatload of money in endorsements, whereas guys who are like Chris Jones doesn't have that endorsement money. He doesn't. But Patrick Mahomes does.
Mm-hmm.
But him calling out Chris Jones, this is an indirect way of where he says, I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I want everybody on the team here. And that's what Matt Derrick brought up. When does Patrick Mahomes make a phone call and say, all right, Chris, what's the deal here? Because there is a little bit of, hey, I'm trying to help you out. Now, Chris Jones can look at Patrick Mahomes and say, I don't give a damn, dude. This is for me. You need to butt out of my business. And Mahomes understands that, but probably says, look, you need to get here. This is what we want to do. You've said you're going to be a chief for life, which is, by the way, terrible thing to say if you are in the professional sports league. Never, ever utter that.
Never say you want to be XYZ for life.
Because if you say that,
it'll be used against you for for all of time.
Exactly.
Just say you're enjoying your time with the place. It's real fun here. Would be nice to finish my career here. Would be nice to stay here.
Yeah. because that's what our society deals with in absolute. Well, you said you're going to be here for forever. Now you're going back on your word.
No, not really. It's just it didn't work out.
So
yeah.
I thought that was interesting coming from Patrick Mahomes saying, I want Chris Jones to be in training camp. I think that was that isn't just ho hum. Oh, I want Chris Jones here.
Yeah.
You know? Every year seems like people rank the quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, Patrick Mahomes is number one. But who else is on a level that is Patrick Mahomes? And I think you have to look at it two different ways. You know, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, those type of things. If you're judging it on ability, or are you judging it on what you've accomplished, are two different things.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to go just on ability, to me, then I can see multiple people being on Patrick Mahomes' tier. Like, I can see Joe Burrow being on Mahomes' tier. They're both game changers. They both run through the offense and the team runs through them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Joe can do a lot of things. Patrick can do a lot of things. I get that. Same thing for Josh Allen. But if I were to be really, really nitpicky, there's only two quarterbacks who are separate above everybody else. And that is Mahomes and Burrow. I would not put Josh Allen in the same category as Mahomes and Burrow right now. And the reason I bring that up is, one, Josh Allen has not done what Burrow and Mahomes have done on the field and in winning. Mm-hmm. Allen turns it over too much.
Yep.
Allen has not won the big game.
Nope.
So if we're really going to get super into it and say, all right, there are these tiers, Josh Allen, to me, hasn't done it on the field enough. And I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about during the big game and the results. In the playoffs, Josh Allen has not been as good as Joe Burrow and as Patrick Mahomes.
In the playoffs, Josh Allen has not beaten either of those gentlemen.
And the turnovers are a big problem. Aaron Rodgers. If we are going, the reason they got Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to say this. This is what The Athletic has for their quarterback tiers. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, and Herbert on tier 1. Okay? I don't see how you can put Aaron Rodgers in tier 1 right now after what I saw last year.
I'm fully with you on that.
I don't know. If you want to go career, then yes, he is tier 1. But I'm going into this year right now, there is no way that you can put Aaron Rodgers on Patrick Mahomes' level going into it. If you want to adjust this during the year, if Rodgers has started to kick the fires and looked really good, I'm okay with it. But I don't think Allen right now, I would put them, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, in that order. But Allen is further away from Joe Burrow than I think Joe Burrow is from Patrick Mahomes, if you go by this.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be on there. I also have a problem with Justin Herbert being on tier 1. And here's the reason why. How can a quarterback be on tier 1 when 2 of the 4 years that he's been a starting quarterback, he hasn't made the playoffs and he has not won a playoff game? How can you be that low? Because tier 1, a tier 1 quarterback, you are elite. That means you win because of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with the rest of your team. Mm-hmm. How on earth are you going to put Justin Herbert on this tier when, 1, you've missed the playoffs a couple times, 2, you've also never even won a playoff game. You won a playoff game, or you lost a playoff game to the Jags when you are up by what, 20?
So my question
Do it.
My question to you is this, Jake. My question to you is this. When the Chargers lose, why are they losing?
They didn't make enough plays.
Okay. Do you think the Chargers have ever lost a game consistently because of Justin Herbert?
In my theory, in tier quarterbacks, you break them down into four truly four aspects. You win simply because of that quarterback.
Okay.
They didn't. You were up 20.
Yes.
Herbert, lead him to the victory.
The fact of the matter is this.
So you're telling me that Herbert's the same level as Patrick Mahomes?
No, of course
then
not.
Why? Then they shouldn't be on the same tier.
Jake, use your favorite word because there's nuance to this.
And because
the point is in this exercise, a tier 1 quarterback is a quarterback who you win because of. That you can win football games because of this person. The only reason the Chargers win any football game is they have Justin Herbert at quarterback. Everything about that team is so garbage that if they win anything, 98% of the time, it is because of Justin Herbert. If the Chargers did not have Justin Herbert at quarterback, they would not have been close to 500 any of these seasons he's been in the NFL.
Well, for 2 seasons, they weren't because they didn't make the playoffs. I look at this as if you have Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes on the same tier, your tiers are wrong.
I mean, if we're going that far, you should have literally no one on Patrick Mahomes' tier.
And that's where I think that should be.
Which is fine. Which if that's your point, that is fine.
To me, you're lumping in guy like Aaron Rodgers is not on the level of Patrick Mahomes.
I agree. He's on the back 9.
It is not even close.
I
Going into 2023, there is zero reason that Rodgers and Mahomes should be on the same level.
I agree.
Justin Herbert, to me, has not accomplished squat. And
that's fine.
And if you are the quarterback, if you're an elite quarterback, the top level, you don't lose games by 20. You don't lose a game when you're up by 20. You find a way to win that game. They didn't. I would put it like this. Mahomes is on his own tier. It is Mahomes only. Then I would put Burrow and then Allen together on another tier. And then I would put Rodgers and Herbert. And I would also put Jalen Hurts on the next tier is what I would do.
I think that is acceptable.
Do I think it is the right thing to do to pay Justin Herbert? Yes, I do.
110%.
You got to pay that guy. He is a very good quarterback.
He is the only reason the Chargers have been any level of good.
But to me, to say that they're on the same level as a tier for what you've accomplished, what you've been able to do, Justin Herbert winning games when you're down by 10 points and you have a better than 500 record? No, he doesn't.
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
And I will say, and in that context, the bigger point, other than Herbert in general, is just no one should be with Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's the better point.
Coming up next, our list, concert pet peeves. Bradley J brought that up for me. So we're going to get to that here on Mic'd Up. 94.5 country DJ Bradley J and I were talking about concerts. So we're going to go with concert pet peeves. What do you got? Number 4.
All of mine are pretty much centered around people at concerts. I don't think there's many bad ways to have a concert structured. Number 4 for me, it's difficult, but still a thing I think people can avoid doing. Don't invade my personal space. Concerts can get a little tight, but there's still ways to give everybody their own little bubble.
Some of that is on you. Like if you're down near the standing pit
agree.
crowd,
No, I agree.
that's on you.
No, I agree.
That's
why
you.
it's low. There's some give and some take.
Okay.
It still matters, but there's some give and some take.
Number 4 for me, bad concert. Bad concert acoustics.
Yeah.
If the sound is bad, if the mics aren't good, too much of the guitar, not enough vocal. I need you can't have bad concert acoustics. And that's both on the venue and the road crew.
That's fair. That's a nice little honor mention for me. Number 3 for me, I just don't like drunk people. That applies to literally almost every public event we could do a list about. Because they're just annoying. Especially at concerts.
It's the level of sometimes drunk people can be funny, but then do they go overboard and now it's just annoying?
Exactly. Yeah. That's my line. And concerts get a lot of those.
Number 3 for me is the person who gets up too many times. Like if you're sitting in a row and they get up to go get beer and then they go sit back down, then they go to the bathroom, then they sit back down, then they go to get something else.
Yeah.
Nah, man, either stay in your seat or
Stay
just go somewhere else.
That's fair. Number 2 for me, and man, maybe people don't like me for this. I hate people who record like every hour and second and moment of concerts. I hate that.
Good call.
I hate both seeing it and just it's in the way.
I don't watch
distracting.
If somebody sends me a concert video of the concert, I just completely.
You want to take a couple? That's fine.
Pass by.
But don't record like a big chunk of it.
But don't post it on social media. Ain't nobody gonna watch it.
It annoys
nobody
me.
cares.
Just frustrates me.
Number 2 for me, 2 drunk singers.
Ooh,
I
yeah,
had
those
a
are
chance
bad.
to see Toby Keith one time.
Yeah.
That dude couldn't even sing his own damn songs. He was so drunk.
Yeah, that's
buddy,
bad.
come on.
Number 1 for me is simple. If you're at a concert and you're constantly complaining, I can hear you complain about every little thing. I want to punch you upside the head.
So you're going with the complainer.
I hate complainers.
Okay.
I hate complainers.
Mine is the way too drunk individual.
Fair enough.
That it affects me.
Yep.
Like if you're the fun drunk, I got no problem with that.
But when you start affecting my enjoyment of the situation, I'm with you, brother.
No, man. Coming up next, Dan Lucero pops in for a little crosstalk. We've got Royals baseball coming up tonight. They're going for 4 in a row. 4 in a row. Maybe this is what happens, like all of a sudden it comes in bunches, right? So maybe we're looking at a long winning streak here.
Calm down.
No, let's dream big right now. Let's dream big. Let's try to make this thing big.
It'll be interesting to see what it's like facing the Mets. Reports that come out, the Mets have numerous minor leaguers at the team hotel in Kansas City right now. In the event that they trade a bunch more of their major league players away.
And there we go.
So I mean, could also be facing the Mets with a bunch of dudes who've never played before.
Yeah. We bring in Dan Lucero from 580 Sports Talk. All right. What will be the eventual winning streak? How long will it go? You can say 3, 4, 5, 6.
Man.
Any number 3 or bigger, really.
No, you probably, let's be realistic. Probably 10 is probably a little bit ridiculous.
Man, the way Greinke's pitched, I don't think I can back him tonight. I'm going to say, I hate to say it stops tonight, but it kind of feels like it does. I don't like to be Mr. Negative, but I can't back Greinke the way he's pitched of late. Not that he's been bad, they're not winning his starts. Although Jose Quintana's no world beater, Royals should be able to get after him. They haven't faced him in 5 years.
That's true. They have not faced Jose Quintana since he moved to the National League.
Greinke's given up 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 2 earned runs in his last 4 starts.
0-5 in his last 7 starts.
1-11 on the year. Not great.
But Quintana hasn't won a start either. He's 0-2 in the year.
All right, so what are you doing?
You know what? Heck with it. I'll take the Royals tonight. I'll say I don't know who's starting tomorrow, but I'll give him one more. I'll say
Probably Alec Marsh tomorrow.
I'll give him 4.
I think. For what it's worth, in 25 career starts, Jose Quintana has a 4.17 ERA against the Royals. He's 3-10. He is 3-10, which, fun fact, everyone, is his most individual losses against any team in his career.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Right now, the Royals are plus 130. The Mets minus 154. If you're interested. No, the answer is the Royals are winning 5 in a row. How many are you going with, Fulton? They're winning today and tomorrow, folks. This is a surge.
I have to protect myself and say they're losing tonight.
I'm going with the emotional hedge.
I have to protect myself.
Okay.
Because if they win tonight, I can promise you two gentlemen one thing. I'm going to be as unhealthily attached to this team as I've ever been all season.
He's gonna buy
I will be so far deep in the portal.
He's going to Google Royals playoff ticket sales win.
I'll be getting my Royals 2024 American League Central Champions shirt made.
Clearing the calendar for October, just in case.
I just need you two to be prepared for that. I have to protect myself, though.
Not technically mathematically eliminated yet.
With the way this
Still
division,
alive.
with the way this division is, not technically.
Who is Senga?
Kodai Senga goes for it.
Very, very good Japanese.
He's an
pitcher.
all-star.
Yeah.
Five in a row.
That forkball is going to eviscerate so many
That
Royals.
forkball is going to be put in the fountain.
I believe Kodai Senga's forkball has the third highest whiff percentage of any individual pitch this season.
Except for when he pitches against the Royals.
And I thought I was the crazy one.
Wow, they're on a heater, man.
They swept the Twins.
This is when hey, you were
So
going to
calm
told me
down.
they're not winning this weekend. They're
Well,
not
no,
winning
'cause
that
they were-
weekend.
they
The
were-
only time they're going to win.
they
And
were-
I told you, I was like, no, they can beat the Twins.
First
and they're
off-
going to couple them up with the Mets. So I
First
was
off-
right there.
First off, you did not tell me anything about the Twins series because you weren't here. So first off, that.
Oh, no, I definitely said that on Tuesday.
No,
yes,
you did
I
not.
did.
You
I
did
can go
not.
back and look.
You did not.
I said, yes, they will. There's a chance they win 3 in a row. And I gave you a whole bunch of scenarios, such as the Minnesota Twins, the Mets, the Phillies, Boston. I said, no, it's happening.
Dan, you see what I put up with?
I do.
You mean you're putting up with correctness? Yes, a lot of it. Correct.
Correctness.
All right. How many trades do the Royals make in the next 2.5 hours?
I think they'll make at least one more.
Who's gone?
I'll say Barlow. I'll say they find a taker for Barlow. For sure. I think they find a taker for him.
Are you upset and angered and irate that they got in the return for Nicky Lopez?
To me, I'm not irate. I just think it points to the lack of a real long-term vision that the Royals have, that this is a guy that a week ago they could have had for cash, and then they decide, yeah, that's sufficient return for Nicky Lopez. And it also, like, the part of the process I don't like, if you're going to trade Nicky Lopez and your reasoning is, well, Nicky Lopez isn't going to help us be a championship team. Like, I'm receptive to that. He's not really an everyday player for you right now as it is. He's got 2 more years of team control after this one. It's valuable to maybe get some players who have more years of team control so you can plan further down the road. But Taylor Hearn has exactly as much team control left as Nicky Lopez. So what are you really doing? Like, what are you really accomplishing with this trade? I just, that's my question. What are they accomplishing, and what made Taylor Hearn so attractive as a return in a trade that was unattractive when you could have had him essentially for free?
I wonder if that isn't a, you know what, we had a chance to get him, didn't pull the trigger, so let's trade Nicky Lopez because he's not part of the future. Like that is how I look at that.
because I'm not ever going to get upset about trading Nicky Lopez. Okay, you traded a guy who can't hit.
Trading Nicky
Like,
Lopez
who
is,
cares?
yeah, trading Nicky Lopez is fine. He
don't care.
had one.
If anything, you saved money, okay? And you saved some money. Like, whatever.
That's true too. Yeah, he's going to make much more in arbitration next 2 years than Hearn.
So,
is likely to.
that's the reason why I can't get up in arms.
At the same time, you're nickel and diming on arbitration salaries for relievers and utility infielders. Don't nickel and dime on that. You can afford it.
Well, if you're going to try to save a couple bucks here and there, I got no problem with that. It's Nicky Lopez. I don't give a damn if you are nickel. If they're nickel and diming other people, okay. It is Nicky Lopez. Like, they act like this guy, like, let's say they did it last year for, like, Whit Merrifield, okay? When you traded Whit Merrifield, yes. Then I'm going to be upset. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get too upset over a guy who hits 212 and can't get the ball past the warning track.
Hasn't hit a home run in 2 years.
Like, I can't. That doesn't bother me at all. The whole Nicky Lopez trade.
Yeah, there was a little bit of retconning Nicky Lopez.
Come on now.
Like, this guy's a good player, right?
The dude stinks.
He's a slap hitting utility infielder with a good glove.
Yeah.
And as much as any other position in baseball, other than right-handers with a fastball and a slider, those guys grow on trees.
Yeah. When is your concern level with Chris Jones? When he doesn't show up, we'll see if you have the same date as Matt Derrick does.
I would say game 1 of the preseason. If nothing's done by game 1 of the preseason, you start to get a little concerned.
So you're going August 13th.
Yeah, I give it 2 more weeks.
Same exact that Matt Derrick says if he's not there, like his first date was today, August 1st. Then he goes, all right, it's now under the why isn't it done stage.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is, all right, you haven't been here for, what will that be, 16 days? All right, what's happening right now? Because now I'm into you're missing half a training camp, and guys who miss training camp normally don't play all that well.
Now there are exceptions. I mean, Walter Jones, the greatest left tackle I've ever seen, he famously never went to training camp. He would hold out. He would push his SUV around his driveway, and then he would show up and he'd be the best left tackle.
But that's a different situation to me. Reason being, he was already under contract. Like he wasn't. That had nothing to do with contract situations. That was, hey, we know you're going to be good. You're Walter Jones. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, because he played for a while ago. Yeah. Like that wasn't, I'm holding out for a contract. That's I'm holding out because I'm Walter damn Jones. No, don't worry about me.
I understand. I'm just using that to make a point that, for certain guys, for veteran guys, for guys with an established level of performance, that the presence at camp can be a little bit overrated. And if Chris Jones is willing to light $800,000 or whatever it's going to end up being,
he's at $550 right now.
Yeah, if he's willing to light that on fire to sit out the hard part of camp, I mean, it's you kind of got to respect that a little bit if that's what you want to do.
If he does, I do worry about the wear and tear, because training camp is there for a reason. It prepares you for the season. You get used to getting hit. I do wonder if you look at all the people who have missed substantial parts of training camp, how often do they get hurt in the year? I bet it's higher than what anybody thinks. I really do. And we'll find out if Chris Jones, and Walter Jones did that year after year after year because he had proven it. If you can prove to me, Chris Jones, that you don't, next year, let's say Chris Jones goes out this year, signs a contract here in 14 days. Let's say he misses the first preseason game. As we found out from Matt Derrick, that's going to be over $2 million worth in fines. Therefore, hey, congratulations. Now you just, lost $2.5 million. Instead of making $30 million this year, you're going to make, 27.5. So now you're starting to actually accumulate some cash here. He goes out and he balls out and has 15.5 sacks and is an absolute beast. Next year, Chris Jones, I don't care if you show up until a week and a half before the first game. But until I see it, then I think it's going to end up being a problem for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not there yet. I'm not. because the main thing is get him extended long term overall. But do you read anything where Mahomes name dropped him in his Albert Breer interview?
I talked to Matt Verderame about that yesterday on 580 Sports Talk, and he said that was absolutely intentional.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think
Mahomes'
yeah,
part
I'm with you.
to say, yeah, we want Chris Jones to be here. Like, yeah, I number one, Jones feels like the kind of guy where things are more fun when he's around. Seems like that kind of teammate that you like having around. You enjoy their presence. You miss when they're not around. But yeah, the other part of it is he is as essential to that defense as Mahomes is to the offense.
Mm-hmm. That's why you have to pay him.
Yes.
I just hope he's not being
because
like
he's
super
the guy.
unrealistic.
He's the guy that makes every single big play in late and close situations when the Chiefs need a sack, when the Chiefs need a turnover, when the Chiefs need to get off the field, get the ball back in the hands of their offense. You watch the tape. It's always Chris Jones. It's always him in the fourth quarter. It's always him down the stretch. It's always him in the big games. Even though he got no postseason sacks, watch the tape. It's always him.
Mm-hmm. That's why I just hope. Here's what I want. I want the Chiefs to be super cheap right now. I don't want Chris Jones to be like, I want you to pay me $31 million, because I think $31 million that's egregious. Like, that's egregious to me. You shouldn't be asking for $31 million. There's one man who makes $31 million, and he might be one of the top 5 defensive players of all time. He's got 3 AP Defensive Player of the Years. How many all pros? 9? No, 9? Aaron Donald, 9 first team all pros?
Maybe.
Or was it 7?
Oh.
7.
Yeah.
7-time first team all pro. You ready? You're not that guy, pal.
No,
you're not that guy.
And it's not a knock.
No, it's not a knock.
Nobody's that guy.
But to ask for $31 million, to me, you're being egregious. That's why I want all this to come out and be like, the Chiefs were like $24 million, and that's it. Because then I can just lambaste the Chiefs and be like, why are you being so damn cheap? That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what
it kind of
really
depends
want.
where you go at that point. And as we've said, only one player, as of this moment in time, because this will change when Nick Bosa gets his deal potentially. Yeah. Only one player in the NFL on the defensive side of the football makes $30 million a year. And that's Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
The next highest is TJ Watt at 28.
Alrighty. The Astros are bringing back old friend, Justin Verlander.
That's very funny.
That was a long-lived 16 starts away from Houston.
Yeah. The Astros are sending 2 minor leaguers to the Mets for Justin Verlander. Does Ohtani get traded?
No,
he's already been pulled off the market, and everything the Angels are doing is they're buying.
Oh, I didn't. Why are you guys?
You were on vacation.
Oh, that's true. He was on vacation when that report. Jake, I apologize that report came out while you were on the vacation. Yeah, he was officially pulled off the market, and the Angels are buying.
I was on elephant rides with my son.
Yeah, the Angels are also just officially doing the right thing this deadline. Hey, if you trade Ohtani, you will have no chance to get him back. Like, he's gone. You've punted on what's going away. You will not get equivalent value for Shohei Ohtani in any trade whatsoever. It is better for you and your fan base to say, screw it. We're going to buy. We're going to push, because then you have now created an outside chance you can re-sign him. Because if the Angels make some kind of a run, maybe they sneak into the playoffs, maybe they are competitive till the very end, and they can look at Shohei and go, look, we added, some of these players are still going to be here. We will try and win with you. And maybe he decides to stay.
Yeah,
he probably still doesn't.
Yeah.
He probably still doesn't. But you created a small chance versus there would have been a 0 chance if you got rid of him.
I don't think there's a 0. I think there's 0 chance he goes back to the Angels.
There's, to me, with them buying it, if they finish strong enough, there's a tiny chance. I still think he's leaving.
I think he's 100% gone. 100% gone. That's why I would have traded it for him. I'd have traded it.
I think I'm with you, Jake. I don't think he comes back. But you may as well, while you have him, see what you can do.
I just don't believe in trading away the greatest baseball player of all time.
One strategy you can certainly choose to follow is look at the worst team in the National League and say, yes, I would like our lineup to be 1/3 of that lineup.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision.
That's what the Angels did last night. The third of their lineup is guys who were on the Rockies earlier this year.
Which,
Crone,
sure,
CJ Crone, Randall Grichuk, and Mike Moustakas.
sure, that's certainly a thing you can
And
do.
hey, look, they're all having decent years. Moose having a nice year, quiet as it's kept.
He's been really looking good since going to the Angels. He likes hitting home runs at Angel Stadium.
That is true. That is true.
He likes to do that.
Moose has more home runs this season already than he did in any of the previous 3.
Good for him.
Good
for him.
I want the Royals to make a big trade here in the next.
That's not going to happen, Jay.
Why not?
They're not going to make a big splash. Hopefully they do something though.
Let's give away some Royals tickets.
Sure, I guess we can do that.
They're going to win 5 in a row.
They're not going to win 5 in a row. You got to calm down.
They're winning 5 in a row.
I'm politely asking you to calm down.
We're going to go with caller number 5 because they're going to win 5 in a row. Caller number 5, 785-272-9429. Caller number 5, you get Royals tickets. Because I don't know, will they have another 3-game winning streak?
Like if they lose today, because you were on first, you were gonna say your head said no, they're not gonna win tonight, but your heart was like, nah, man, let's give them a good old college try, right?
Yeah.
Does your heart say that or your head says they're gonna win another 3 in a row? Or they're gonna end up with 1 3-game winning streak all year?
I think they might win 3 in a row again later on down the road.
So you're saying yes?
Sure. The odds are pretty good that they will. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Oakland won 7 in a row, man. Weird stuff happens. Baseball's weird.
Yeah, the A's beat the Braves. They almost swept the Braves. That's wild. Absolutely wild. What do you got coming up on 580 Sports Talk?
Coming up on 580 Sports Talk, we are going to discuss the latest in Pac-12 realignment news. It's always great when you have a meeting and the conclusion of the meeting is we need to have another meeting. And that's where the Pac-12 is right now. Brett McMurphy blew up the internet last night with an emoji. Something's percolating. We'll try and talk through what that might be. Michael Swain's going to join us. We're going to talk KU. Mitch Holtis, day 2 of our training camp report. Incredible. He mentioned the Jelly of the Month Club yesterday.
I don't even know what that means.
Me either, but it was legendary. It was great. We're going to hear from Mitch today. He's got some Patrick Mahomes audio he's going to share with us.
Patrick Mahomes, according to Matt Derrick, is in mid-season form. Did you see the behind the back throw?
Yes.
That thing was launched like 30 yards.
He's going to do it in a game at some point.
Do you think Patrick Mahomes can throw a pass behind his back further than you can throw it forward?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
What are we thinking here? Fulton, can you throw a pass forward further than Patrick Mahomes can throw it backwards behind his back?
Can he throw a pass behind his back 20 yards?
Yes, easily.
He can throw farther than I can. We proved this. Like you, me, and Brendan literally proved this.
We got to get a timeout. Coming up next, we'll get into the Pac-12 and the Big 12, all of that. Dan, we appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, guys.
Coming up, we got odds makers as well here on Mic'd Up. Hour number 3 here on Mic'd Up on this Trade Deadline Tuesday. I just emphatically told Fulton that the Royals traded MJ Melendez, and for the half a second, I got the reaction I wanted.
Which was the gigantic raised eyebrows.
That you went, what? And then you're like, oh no, he's messing with me.
Yeah, quickly I was just like, because man, I literally was just scrolling Twitter and was like, there's no way. And like the half second I clicked away.
But I got you for I got what
Listen,
I wanted.
today like today, anyone says any words of the Royals traded blank, you will get at least a half second of me going,
Yep.
before I usually very quickly will go,
Yeah. So I got what I wanted. We will get you updates here the next hour here on Mic'd Up on all
if
things
they do anything.
Royals trades. We've got odds makers coming up as well. Royals baseball tonight after 580 Sports Talk. So lots to discuss, lots to get to on this edition. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Go to our YouTube feed. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. It's easy to get to. We are going to get to the big news in the college football world, and that is what on earth is going on in the Pac-12. Well, we know that Denver is going to the Big 12. We know that Colorado is headed to the Big 12. Well, what's the latest news? Well, last night, Pete Thamel put this out there, and he said that the Pac-12 presidents are meeting today. They are meeting today, and George Kilikoff is giving the Pac-12 presidents the deal. All right? He gave him the deal. The deal was not announced. That means they got to think about it. All right? If it was good enough, there would be streamers and our whole entire show would be about the Pac-12 deal compared to the Big 12 deal. It didn't happen. So there's going to have to be the number wasn't good enough for everybody to just say, yes, sweet. It's that number's not good enough. We got to think about it now. So that is what's going on today. Also, last night, here is the news coming from Pete Thamel. Oregon and Washington don't want to go to the Big 12. That's what it says here. Very first statement here. So what will Oregon and Washington do? Oregon and Washington don't want to go to the Big 12. If they're going to switch leagues, despite the hurdles, it's likely for the Big 10. Oregon and Washington think they're above the Big 12, which is fine. You can think however you want to think. The problem is that if you don't go to the Big 10, what's going to happen to you? New Big 10 commissioner Tony Petitti also doesn't aspire to look like the saboteur of the Pac-12, but he's done some quiet diligence about potential of Washington and Oregon, as the Pac-12's vulnerability has made it obvious that they could be shaken loose. They want to go to the Big 10. However, any addition of Washington and Oregon would counter the wishes of USC and UCLA as part of its LA recruiting market. So what is Oregon and Washington going to do? Could they take a cut rate of the Big 10? Could they end up in the Big 10 but not get as much money? According to Pete Thamel, for the Big 10 to move in on Oregon and Washington, the league would need to bring in a fourth television partner. That right there needs to be in bold, underlined, highlighted, in quotation marks, italicized, streamers, all of that. The Big 10 would then have not enough outlets. You need another TV partner. Who are you going to go get? That could be difficult. Really, really difficult. Also, according to Pete Thamel, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah are, quote, could be a package deal. If one goes, all three are going to go, or it's not just going to be one person at a time. They're going to stick together. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's fairly stupid.
This is not like, family, okay? Like I'm ride or dying, right? I'm riding with you. No. Arizona doesn't owe Arizona State anything. Utah, you need to do what's best for you. This is honestly life and death for these athletic departments for the next couple of years, or until the NCAA no longer exists and they go do their own damn thing. It says here, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, the remaining three of the so-called four corner schools, are expected to lump together. I don't see any of them having the fortitude to break up the Pac-12s themselves. They'll break up as three. It's either going to be all or none. Who cares if you're the reason the Pac-12 disassembles? That is not your job. Hey, guess what? Utah, Arizona, Arizona State. Yeah, we're all going to stay together because of Cal, because of Oregon State. You have to look out for yourself. End of discussion. If you got a chance, right? You got a chance to make $50 million or $20 million, but you get to be the good big brother. And it's not even big brother. Like, that's even less there. You're not even family members. You're business partners. And if I'm an alumni base, let's say, Fulton, you are an alum of Utah. Go Utes. Ready? Utes. Yes. You, right?
Sure.
What are you going to want your president to do? Make sure that your football team gets in a conference and can try to keep up as best as you can with other schools? Or, hey, Fulton, we're only going to make $20 million a year, but guess what? We get to keep our rivalry with Washington State. I'd be furious.
Oh, yeah. No, like at this point, if you are an alumnus of any of these schools, your position, I would assume for most of them, would be a level of, Just do what's best for you.
Survive.
Yeah, so and that's my thing with the idea. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, to a certain level, Arizona State, and Utah want to go together, because there is truly probably a part of them that is, we don't want to be the only one that is the final straw. Now, any sensible person will know the demise of the Pac-12 started with USC and UCLA leaving. That's where this all started. But the fact of the matter is, the next school to leave, if they leave by themselves or just whatever next school or schools to leave, they are the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, the Pac-12 right now is hanging on by the thinnest thread, but they're hanging on. The next schools to leave will forever be the ones most commonly associated with the Pac-12 dissolving. Whether that's right or wrong can forever be debated. And I will forever be on the side of, this really is all back down to USC and UCLA.
I don't care.
But
I will not assimilate that. If Arizona State, and Utah all leave the Pac-12, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, the Pac-12 got ruined because of those schools. No, the Pac-12 got ruined because their fan bases don't care.
They don't.
And this is the latest news coming out today. Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated said Pac-12 presidents and ADs, as expected, met this morning and were presented with details of a TV deal. Executives left the hour-long meeting with no agreement, but the expectation of eventually concluding a deal. The Arizona Board of Regents, which oversees both Arizona and Arizona State, are meeting today. While most do not expect a vote or decision at that meeting, multiple sources tell the Yahoo Sports to expect the topic of the TV deal to be discussed. So that is the news there. The TV deal has been issued, but we are going to wait and see. So what else has been going on? Well, Jed Fish, the head coach of Arizona, also put this out there today, that Jed Fish had a Zoom call with parents of every player and told them Arizona will not take a bad deal and they'll know where they're going to be soon. Okay. He also pointed out that he says here, Kilikov asked the conference for another meeting and more time after presenting the initial deal. Remains to be seen what will happen. There'll be discussions tonight at the Board of Regents meeting. According to Jason Shear out of Wildcat Authority, covers the Arizona Wildcats. I'm not making any predictions, but if the numbers presented were that good, you wouldn't assume someone would leak them. Correct.
That is possibly the most correct thing from a sourcing perspective.
Yes.
If the numbers were good, we would see them.
Yeah. Arizona is taking my advice and survival. Do what you think is best. Now, this is from Pete Thamel, sports of ESPN. Pete Thamel just now on SportsCenter said the Pac-12 today reviewed the terms of an Apple deal that would be primarily streaming. Thamel mentions with potential subscriptions that could surpass the Big 12 revenue number. Would likely take a massive amount of subscribers to come close to the Big 12 revenue. I'm going to just tell you this right now. They won't. There's not enough people who would actually pay the fee, whatever it is, to watch non-linear sport.
So I'll ask you this, Jake. I did a little bit of the math here. Let's play a game. Let's play a game to see how we get there.
Love games.
All right. So Apple TV, I think right now the base to get Apple TV is $4.99 just to get access to the product. I believe that's correct. No one please quote me on that. But we're going to use that number. However, I think we both know they would likely make it a separate add-on to do the Pac-12 games.
Correct.
Because then the Pac-12 gets their separate thing.
Okay.
If we made it $4.99, and that was the price you needed to pay, $4.99 to watch all the Pac-12 games you could want. Do you know how many subscribers you have to get to the $50 million the Big 12 each school would get?
Well, hold on. Don't do 50. Do what? 35.
Let's do 35. Let's do 35. Let me get the proper number real quick.
First of all, it ain't gonna be $4.99.
It's not. We're gonna play with that number.
Can we double that at least?
Would you like to make it $8.99?
No. Let's make it $10.
Okay, so $10.
It's gonna cost you $10 a month to watch Pac-12 football.
If it's $10 a month,
yes.
And that's where we're starting here. And this is just to get to 35 million a school. This is just, actually, I'll be honest, this just get 35 million total. This is even per school.
Okay.
To that point, you need 3.5 million subscribers for just that package. You need 3.5 million people to say, I'm now going to spend $10 a month on the Pac-12.
And that is, you ready for this? That's year round. There are going to be a ton of people who are going to cut that. You pay it as the year goes. You know what I mean? You're gonna, here's what you do, because all these you can come and go whenever you want. There's not going to be a, the cable deal where you have it until 2. No, here's what people would do. You'd buy it in September and you'd get rid of it in November. Ain't nobody watching Pac-12 basketball. So you really only have it more than likely. So if it's $10 a month, because they're not going to charge people the regular Apple price. There's no way
it will be a separate thing you have to pay.
That's why I want to say $10.
Let's go 10. Let's go 10.
$10.
That's fine. Let's go 10.
$10. You're going to need to get roughly 4 million subscribers.
Yeah.
But that's if you get it year round. You ain't getting it year round.
No, and that's the difficulty of going to a primarily stream-based model, is that's just not an avenue to success, at least from a level of thinking they're going to get, as some are trying to report, Big 12 money. You can get money streaming games and maybe having one game a week linear. You could create a package like that and you could get money, but it's not going to be a lot. Now, I say that now it's going to context like you're getting like 20 million, but
let's drop it down to $4.99. Right? Let's do it. Let's just say in order to get it, it's its own entity with Apple. It's $4.99. You have to get 8 million subscribers.
Yeah.
You ain't getting 8 million subscribers.
No, and that's the
zero chance of it.
And that's where, if you are any of these Pac-12 schools, you have to start thinking about what is best for you. Like, can your school and athletic department survive on 20 million a year? Can it?
No, it can't.
At least it can't survive as it's constructed.
Correct. Yes.
Because the reality is you can survive on 20 million a year. The G5 schools do it.
It's called the American Conference.
Yeah.
Yes. You're South Florida.
But the problem is you don't have to operate like those schools.
Mm-hmm.
And these schools have been operating for years, if not decades, as higher level than that.
And this is an easy way to determine this. When you look at the thing about linear versus non-linear is this. And this is why I've said this time and time again, why baseball has done a poor job of this. And I do think MLS did a poor. We are not yet at the level of there are more cord cutters than there are cable people. We're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in 10 years we will get there. But right now, for a lot of people, just simply scrolling on your television, you run into things to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you unless you've got cable or DirecTV, right? Does DirecTV have the Royals?
Yes.
It's Dish that doesn't.
Yes, it's Dish that does not. Trust me, I know that.
Yeah. So unless you've got DirecTV or cable, you don't get the Royals. You have to. It's appointment television. It's what it was when I was in high school. You had to log on and watch it immediately when it happened. When the commercial hit the commercial break, you ran as fast as you could to go take a leak and come back so you wouldn't miss it, okay? That's where you're at. You have to physically know when it's going on and be almost a diehard. How many games do you watch at night, Fulton, college football wise, where you're just scrolling down the dial, looking for a football game and you're watching it.
There are a plethora of games I watch in the evenings, particularly. They're
Yes.
just because I'm scrolling TV.
And you'll watch it.
Yeah, because I just find it and it's on.
And those numbers that have, Oregon and USC and Washington, all that, and they say the word like 3 million viewers. You're one of those 3 million viewers.
Yeah,
Okay,
and-
let me ask you this. Are you going to spend $5 or $10 a month to watch Pac-12 football?
Oh, hell no.
No, you're not. So how many of those 3 million viewers?
A good chunk. Anybody that's not West Coast. Because
Exactly.
Like
you're losing the entire country.
Here's my thing. Like, I think, and I wish he was here so we could get his opinion. Brendan, maybe,
I'm asking.
would think about it. Yeah, shoot him a text.
I'm going to text him.
Brendan is the biggest college football sicko we know, and I say that with love. But, like, I think I can be pretty bad about staying up to, like, 11 p.m. to watch Pac-12 after dark. That man consistently stays up to watch Hawaii football till 2 a.m. That man might pay for Pac-12 football just because he needs all the football that can get injected into his veins. But the fact that I have to use the word might for that big of a diehard means your casuals will never, ever touch this. They'll just go, well, I guess I'm not watching Pac-12 games. Like, if I either had to pay $5 a month or never watch another Oregon football game ever again, well, Ducks, I will just box score watch from now on. I don't care. But if you're on linear cable, I'll flip to your game because it's on. Just because I got nothing better to do.
Exactly.
And I want some football in my life.
That's the thing about, and that's what I think, to me, what the MLS, I think they made a poor decision, last year or 2 years ago.
Last year, because this is the first year of it.
Just going non-linear. Yeah. Because they lost me. And if you lost me, you have no hope for the general fan. None. Like, do you have Apple TV?
Yeah.
You do. Okay, so this doesn't affect because you have Apple TV.
I don't have MLS, though.
I thought it was
a separate thing.
Oh, then you have
MLS season pass is an entirely separate thing.
You're not getting the casual run it through, where it would be on Bally's, right? Every now and then.
It'd be on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah. Or let me ask you this, I'm not paying $8 a month to watch Oregon, Washington State, San Diego State, all that. I'm not doing it. And if you don't I would love to know how many people, how many subscribers does Paramount Plus have? Paramount Plus,
Lord.
okay. Paramount Plus has 60 million subscribers. Okay. And
good for them.
And that's everything. How many subscribers does ESPN Plus have?
Good question.
They've got, all right, you ready? The Walt Disney Company announced that its sports streaming service ESPN Plus had around 25.3 million. You're telling me that Pac-12 fans are going to be a third of the entire country? I'm one of the people who subscribes to ESPN Plus. There's zero chance they're getting to 8 million. What's another? How many? What would be another? Peacock. That's also a bad one because that's, they've got 24 million. I just don't see them generating that many subscribers, because if like the SEC, yes, I could because what would you pay? I would pay $8 a month to watch Big 12 football. I would too. I'm trying to think of my friends. Would they do that? And I don't know if they would. But here's what I would do. I would only pay it for September, October, November, December, January, and February. I don't need it for March.
Nope.
So you need it for 6 months. So however much you think you're going to spend, let's say it's $10, okay? That's $60 a year that I get to spend to watch that. I'd do it. but you're not getting the rest of the year. It's
Yeah.
a month by month situation. So it's not, cut that number in half, because that's what people are going to do. At
Yeah.
least smart people would. So instead of 8 million subscribers, they're going to need 16 million subscribers. Because you're cutting that money in half. Why would you pay for it when you're not going to get it? Why would you pay for the network in March, April, May, June, July, August? Why would you? You're only getting $60 a month if it's at $10. If it's at $5 a month, congratulations, you're going to get an insane amount. I don't know what they're going to charge.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do. But you can come and go with ESPN Plus whenever you want.
Yeah.
You can do that with Netflix.
Yeah. That's why people like subscription services. Not attached. No, if the Pac-12 goes a heavy streaming deal, which is becoming more and more, it seems like what they're going to do. Because that's just what the reports have been. I don't know.
Brett McMurphy just tweeted it out. Biggest blowback on the Pac-12's possible primary Apple media rights deal with incentive bonuses. It's very challenging for schools to accurately budget annual revenue, sources say Action Network. Another Pac-12 meeting scheduled to discuss further. Because you don't know how many people are going to subscribe year to year. You have no idea. We'll get a quick timeout. Coming up next, little odds makers here on Mic'd Up. What are the odds that the Royals lose 107 games?
They won 3 in a row. They've won 3 in a row. That being said, even winning 3 in a row and fully proving to me that this team is better than their horrendous record says, I will only drop it to 93%.
I believe they're on pace to lose now 110 games. So we're not far off here, Fulton.
No, it is possible for them to correct it, but you're selling off more pieces. You have to assume they're going to trade even more guys. We'll see. Also, it is not the Royals, but another American League Central team is moving a piece. The Detroit Tigers are moving right-handed all-star starter Michael Lorenzen to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Hold on a second. Michael Lorenzen is a pitcher?
Yes, starting pitcher.
Starting pitcher. Good?
Yeah, all right. Again, he was the Tigers' token all-star.
Okay. Who is infield prospect How You Lee?
Give me 1 second. I can figure it out.
Because if How You Lee is any decent, then Ryan Yarbrough needs to be traded now.
That is the Phillies' number 5 prospect.
Trade Ryan Yarbrough.
Yeah, Ryan Yarbrough's got to get out the door.
Now.
Yeah,
How about now?
I second that.
Fulton, now? What about now? How about now? Is Ryan Yarbrough traded now? If you can get the 5th best prospect for the next 60 games of Ryan Yarbrough, he signed a 1-year deal. How come the Royals didn't make this trade? Is Lorenzen better than Yarbrough?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just making sure. We're just making sure.
Again, Michael Lorenzen was an all-star. Like, he's 5-7 this year with a 3.58 ERA. He has a 2 WAR. Like, Michael Lorenzen is good this year. You are probably not getting a team's number 5 prospect. But that all being said, Michael Lorenzen is a free agent next year. Like, he does not, he's a rental. As far as I am understanding, he's a rental. If the Phillies can get there is no reason in this case the Royals couldn't get a team's top 30 prospect for Ryan Yarbrough.
Top 30?
Yeah, that's the general cutoff limit, a top 30 prospect.
I would hope you get a top 15 if Lorenzen.
Well, I would hope so.
You ready for this? Why not give him Barlow and Yarbrough for Who You Lead?
At that point, you could probably get more. My overall point, though, like the thing is, Michael Lorenzen. Actually, well, they're the same age. They're both 31. Oh, wow. Either way, Michael Lorenzen is a better player than Ryan Yarbrough because Michael Lorenzen actually has better stuff. But they are semi-comparable. Like, top 30 is my cutoff limit. You probably could get a top 15 prospect for Ryan Yarbrough if this is what's happening. If this is the market for starters right now, Ryan Yarbrough needs to be out the door in the next 2.5 hours. If not, and as always, I want to put the caveat out there. We don't know what offers are actually coming in. We can't pretend everybody's getting the same offers. We can't pretend just because Michael Lorenzen's being offered this, that the Royals are being offered a similar return. We can only make guesses based on the market. But what it's looking like, get him out the door.
Get him out the door. All righty.
Where are you on Royals 107 losses? Keeping track of all this. To circle back from when I kind of threw us off the trail a little bit.
You did.
Well, it's trade deadline day. It happens.
Fulton. 90%. I need to look up, like, what are they on pace right now for?
Because they've lost 75 games.
Yes.
75 games and 107. They've lost 75, 107. What that win percentage is, I couldn't tell you.
107. So they got 30. They're 32 and 75.
Correct.
29% winning percentage.
Okay, so 29% winning percentage. They're on pace for about 40. Let's call it 47 wins. Rounding up slightly, 47 wins. That'd be 115
Yeah,
losses.
so they're on pace for 114 because it was 29.9, so it's almost 30%.
Yeah.
So if it's 30%, they're on pace for probably 111 losses.
Yep. So it's not impossible to correct the path and just sneak under it, but would take some positive steps forward, which we've seen. They just did complete a sweep of Minnesota.
Yeah.
But
I'll say 88%.
88. Up 8% from where you were last time.
Oh, up 8%? I thought it was at 90%.
I have on here on my charts is 80%. That's my charts.
I'm going to keep it. Actually, I'm going to keep it at 80. We're steady.
Okay. We're steady Eddie.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's a lot of data in this one note on my phone.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. We have been at this for a while.
Yeah.
Good Lord. My goodness. Jake, what are the odds that Nelson Velasquez makes his debut for the Kansas City Royals before August 21st? 75%. I will give it 20 days, 3 weeks.
75%.
75%. Think the next 3 weeks he's up?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 80.
Yeah.
I think the next time they need to make a move, I think Velasquez will be the next bat that gets called up. As long as everything to Omaha goes off to a right start. Barring some weird bad start with Omaha where the Royals feel like they need to fix something immediately, I think Nelson Velasquez is up within the next 3 weeks. Which, man, that's going to be fun. Just excited to see what that potentially looks like. Could be very interesting. I have no other trade news to throw us off the rails.
What are the odds? What are the odds that Chris Jones gets into camp a week from today? So we'll say August.
That'd be August 8th.
8th.
No, man. I'm really starting to wonder where he's going to show up. Today was my kind of next day of like, I'll show up by here. I don't know, man. August 8th, another week. How many practices would he have missed at that point? 1, 2, 3.
By August
4,
8th,
5,
he's missed
6,
9
8.
already. So that'd be another 7. So it'd be 16.
16.
Because today would have been day number 9 of camp.
So if he's missed 16 at that point, I've been fined $800,000. Give me a 75% chance he's back on the 8th. They got. We'll be approaching a preseason game at that point. Game check going to be on the line. I have to imagine at that point something's figured out. I've made a lot of comments on like a concernometer not being that high.
Mm-hmm.
If he misses a preseason game, my concernometer is going to spike. Because that just feels too much. But I'll say 75% he's back within a week. Maybe he's back tomorrow. Maybe he just wanted to wait till MLB trade deadline day was done so that he didn't steal any of their thunder. Maybe he was trying to be considered to the other league. Chris Jones, nice guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Certified nice guy, Chris Jones.
You're ridiculous.
Yes, I am. We both know this. Not a shadow of a doubt.
I'm gonna take give me 51%.
Oh man.
He gets there by
August 8th.
Yeah.
Where's your concernometer going to be at if he's missed a preseason game?
It's not for this year. He's playing this year.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
for
long-term extension getting done, that he's around for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like for everybody, it's going to start spiking through the roof if he misses the game.
Yep. Coming up next, we'll finish things off with the latest news on the trade deadline and more news coming out about the Pac-12. Royals in action tonight. Who will be in the dugout? Who will not for the Kansas City Royals? Got 2 more hours.
2 more. And then a little bit after, because deals always trickling a little past the buzzer. Like last year when Whit Merrifield's trade was announced like right at 5 p.m.
Like 5:05.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like roughly around there.
Yeah.
I have to say this. This is only about me being very selfish for a second. Bear with me. It's now the second straight trade deadline I've covered on these airwaves. The Royals are 12 minutes away from the second consecutive year not making any moves while I'm on the air for 3 hours. Means nothing in the long term, but just irritates me as a person. All I'm asking for is one thing. Give me one move to break down in the moment. Royals, why do you do this to me? I will now step off my soapbox and pull the spotlight off of myself and return us back to a partnership.
Little news here from Stuart Mandel. Larry Scott sold the schools on a Pac-12 network based on how much revenue they could hit based on low, medium, and high subscriber projections. It turned out to be below low. Hard to imagine the schools making another risky bet on a newish platform. They're saying that this would be the majority of it streaming and then some on the air with, kind of a maybe game by game, very small linear basis like ESPN.
Yeah.
Or you go with guaranteed if you go to the Big 12. This is where we talk about being too close to the forest to see the trees and having, certain colored glasses on, right?
Yeah.
Like Chiefs colored glasses, right? The Chiefs, anytime somebody says that Joe Burrow is on Mahomes' level, they get all,
Get all uppity about it.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, take those glasses off from it and
Yeah.
realize it's actually not that crazy.
I just don't see how not knowing what you're going to get year to year, and it already turned out to be below the number that you thought
Yes.
already once. I just don't see that happening. I just don't see how you say, yes, let's do this. And we haven't even addressed it yet at all. Once Oregon and Washington get the opportunity to go to the Big Ten,
They're jumping.
they are gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
So in 3 years, Oregon and Washington finally get the invite to prom. They're going.
Mhm.
Now what are you going to do? And guess what? Phil Knight, if it costs Oregon $30 million to get out of their TV agreement with Apple, Phil Knight will write that check tomorrow to get them into the Big Ten whenever the hell they need to do it.
Yeah, he would.
End of discussion. That's the other thing that these schools need to realize. Once Oregon and Washington have a chance to leave, they're going to leave. Hello. It's just like the Big 12. Once Oklahoma and Texas got the opportunity to leave, they left. That's just how this is going to work. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get $20 million a year, stay with the Pac-12 for about 3 more years, then Oregon and Washington are going to leave, and then you're going to have to do this all over again? And maybe at that time, the Big 12 is not going to be interested, or you're not going to get as big of a share. I don't know. You got to think towards the future.
Yeah, you do.
You got to think towards the future. Oregon and Washington, like they're going to stay around for it. You really do think? Come on. Jason Stark just tweeted out, the Royals and Marlins talked again today about a deal to send Salvador Perez to Miami. One source reports that's not happening. Perez lives in Florida and is open to a deal in Miami, but the teams could never agree on what KC would get back. What's the amount of money that the Royals are willing to, if they're willing to pay for all of it, you're going to get really good prospects back.
Yeah, because you're buying prospects.
Yeah.
Which is what the Mets are doing.
Are they still paying Verlander?
100% with what the Mets are doing is they're paying most of, if not all of Verlander and Scherzer's salaries. That's why they got such good returns for both players.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason the Mets got the Astros number 1 and number 4 prospects. They're going to pay a good chunk of Verlander's money. They're buying prospects, which is not the worst way to do business sometimes. Especially if you got the cash to spend, and the Mets got the cash to spend.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, no, like Miami is the best landing spot for Salvador Perez, and one of the only places he probably would agree to go to because he lives in Miami. But I'm not surprised they couldn't agree on terms. It's complicated, and the Royals, for better or for worse, are going to be obsessed with the optics if they trade Salvi. Particularly if they traded him this year. You trade him, 4 months after naming him captain? He's one of the only reason fans come to the K. Whether that's probably not the right way to do business, but they're definitely thinking about that.
When you're trying to get a brand new stadium, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. 2 more hours of the trade deadline. Brian Yarbrough, Scotty Barlow, Edward Olivares, all 3 of them. One of them's going. One of them. One of the
They gotta.
3. If all 3 of them get traded,
Even better.
build JJ Piccolo a statue. Coming up next, we got the mic drop here on Mic'd Up. All right, Fulton, what do you got for your mic drop?
Royals, I beg of you. Just one of those 3. Yarborough, Barlow, perfect Olivares. Just one of them. Ship them off. Get something back. Don't make Tucker Davidson your only move of today. That's all. You got 2 hours.
The Pac-12 is trying to go stream only. Someone noted that the Apple price for the add-on for MLS was $20 a month.
Oh, boy.
0 chance if it's $20 a month that anybody's buying Pac-12 football outside of the diehard. Just not going to happen. The Pac-12 has got something, a problem. The deal was given to the presidents. If it was remotely good enough, we'd have known about it by now. If they have to meet again, now they go to everybody going, all right, this is what it's going to be. Can we even remotely do this? So all the ADs are going, hey, can we do our budget with this? If not, by Friday, we'll know a lot. We really will. Coming up, we've got 580 Sports Talk with Dan Lucero. And then we got Royals baseball. They win tonight. Book it. We'll talk about a Royals win and the Royals' big trades that they're going to make in the next 2 hours coming up tomorrow at noon.